But first, it's pretty rotten on the Queen, isn't it? With her husband in hospital and her grandson and his wife choosing now to unload on the royal family in particular and on Britain in general. I thought the hype around the Oprah Winfrey interview to be broadcast here later this evening in Australia, well, I thought that it mightn't match the final product, but boy, was I wrong, with the Prince of Woke and his Duchess making claims of racism, frozen family relations, even a mock wedding. And as American as it gets, the interview even included a gender reveal of their unborn child. It's impossible not to miss the contrast, isn't it, between the 94-year-old Queen and her long life of duty and service and the 30-something Sussexes full of self-indulgence and a massive sense of entitlement. Demanding privacy but then spilling royal secrets in a bombshell interview to end them all. This is the same couple, of course, that lecture others on ending poverty, yet grasp at whatever freebie is thrown their way, be it mansions from friends, designer clothing, jets, or in the case of Mrs Harry, million-dollar diamond earrings given to her by the Saudi prince, accused in a CIA investigation as being behind the murder and dismembering of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And she's worn those earrings twice since Khashoggi's death, despite her love of lecturing the world as she does on human rights. Do as I say, clearly, not do as I do. Honestly, Meaghan Markle makes Mrs Wallis-Simpson look like an amateur. I mean, Simpson only brought down a king. This American divorcee is trying to topple an entire royal family as well. Not that we should forget, of course, Prince Harry's a very willing partner in all of this. I don't suppose it was ever easy for Prince Harry losing his mother early and growing up in the royal fishbowl, but he's hardly the only young boy in the world that's ever had to face a challenge like that. And when I had the occasion a couple of times in the past to speak with him, to meet him, sat on a plane with him to Perth one time, I always warmed to his authenticity and his humility. It seems, didn't it, that the army had sorted him out after some wayward teenage years and given him a real sense of purpose. And since marrying Markle, he's wanted to be famous and private at the same time, and as you all know, that's not how it works. The only way to be royal and to avoid the limelight is to go into a monastery or a convent, as Prince Philip's mother did. That would require a selflessness that the Sussexes right now couldn't even begin to grasp. When the Queen ascended the throne back in 1952, she told the British people that her whole life, be it short or long, will be devoted to your service and that of our great imperial family. And that's exactly how she's lived. Likewise, the odd politically incorrect joke aside, that's how her husband, Prince Philip, has also lived. The monarch and her prince have always understood the difference between having standing and being a celebrity. It's precisely because the royals live lives of duty and service. They don't demand, they don't complain, and they don't show off, that gives them their mystique. It's the polar opposite of Hollywood, Markle's spiritual home, where people are famous because we watch them acting out other people's lives. That's led to the Sussexes' confusion between mystique and fame. Comforting the sick, consoling the bereaved, celebrating the humble, and doing your best at times of triumph and disaster to call the nation to be its best self. The gulf between the role of a royal and the privileged commentator that Markle seems to aspire to could hardly be greater. So where's this all going? It's hard not to see a parallel with the Duke of Windsor, the last royal, of course, to abandon his duty to keep happy the woman he loved. Harry and Meghan, in these less formal and proper times, will no doubt provide no end of a soap opera out of the United States, complaining for decades about how badly they've been treated while demanding via million-dollar media deals that the world conform to their conception of what's right. Of all the bombshells in an interview of bombshells was the claim of racism levelled by Markle involving the couple's son Archie. We'll discuss this tonight in detail with an expert royal correspondent out of London, because I suspect this is the issue where the British public will react the loudest. And the racism claims come on the very day the Queen celebrated the contribution of the Commonwealth of Nations And as head of this very racially diverse group of countries, I'd suspect what's been alleged will hurt her deeply, given how much she has advanced the issue of equality in her time on the throne and how far the monarchy itself has come, given how warmly she embraced Harry's new wife from the outset. How much of this interview was about creating noise to cut through and set them up for their life in America? Only time will tell. But for a nation having been hit hard by COVID, I suspect it is well and truly the end of the Sussex honeymoon with the British people. But while there's no doubt that the personality and character of the monarch helps, and Queen Elizabeth has been the exemplar, in the end, it's the system that matters. The Crown gives people a focus of loyalty above and beyond politics. Our parliamentary system under the Crown, and in our case that means the Governor-General, guards against demagogues and tends to keep populists at the margins. It's not a perfect system. But given stability is the greatest test, it's a system that's proven to be better than anything else. And it doesn't hurt, does it? On International Women's Day, that probably the world's most famous person is Her Majesty the Queen, a woman whose quiet strength and resilience has been an inspiration for more than 70 years.